And I think we're good. Alrighty. That's me, and I will be leading a brief overview of the 5310 program today, since the call for applications opened last Friday on November 8th. And after we run through the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. I'll talk about some of the documents we have online that can be resources for you, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So we may not stay here till 3:30, but we should have sufficient time to get through most people, if not everyone's questions. So with that said, I see one other member of my team I'd like to introduce real quick. So if you have questions in the chat in the meantime, and Jess can answer them, she will also be helping me out a little bit. Jess, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Jess. I work with Emma for the strategic planning at CATS, and I'm happy to be here and excited for this call for projects.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. I see a good number of people on here. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can you all see my screen, Jess?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, so as I said, CATS is the designated recipient of federal Section 5310 funds from the Federal Transit Administration. So we receive formula-based funding because we are an urban area with over 200,000 residents. And so this time we are opening the call for federal fiscal year 23's funding, which is around $1.4 million. So let me come to my next screen. So just an introduction. I'm sure some of you are quite familiar with 5310, but others of you are not. So the Section 5310 program is administered by the Federal Transit Administration and provides funding to enhance mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities. And it supports projects such as accessible transportation services, volunteer driver programs, and mobility management initiatives. So another important component of 5310 is that all 5310 funded projects must align with priorities established in the locally coordinated transportation plan. That is also going through an update at the moment, but for the purpose of this application, you will use the current coordinated plan, which is for 2022 through 2027. And I'll get to additional details about that in a moment. But this plan identifies gaps in transportation services and outlines strategies to improve access. And so by adhering to the coordinated plan, CATS ensures that federal funding addresses critical community needs. The coordinated plan involves public engagement with seniors and individuals with disabilities, as well as regional providers, nonprofits, really getting to know what some of the issues might be and what solutions might exist. So eligible applicants include nonprofit organizations, local governments, and public transit agencies serving the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Urbanized Area. So like I said, the role of CATS, or the Charlotte Area Transit System, is as the designated recipient. And so, like I said, formula funds are apportioned to direct recipients, but for rural and small urban areas, the state is actually the designated recipient, and they have a separate 5310 call that's statewide for all the areas in the state that are not a part of a large urban area. But for us, we have been chosen by the governor at a point far back in time to be the designated recipient. And so we have the flexibility in, or direct recipients in general have the flexibility in how to select subrecipient projects for funding, with the main thing being the decision process must be clearly noted in a state or program management plan, which we do have a program management plan as well. The selection process can be formula-based, competitive, or discretionary, and subrecipients can include states, local government authorities, nonprofits, or operators of public transportation. At CATS, we use a competitive process, and we have a revised scoring matrix for this call, although it still aligns with previous calls pretty well, but it's just making it more concrete where points are allocated And I will go over that scoring matrix in a bit. But ultimately, the federal funding flows from FTA to CATS, and it flows from CATS to subrecipients who are awarded projects whose projects score high in this process. And in return, CATS has to report to the FTA. So, with compliance and everything like that. So subrecipients are reporting back to us, and we are reporting back to FTA. So this is kind of the flow that we have. CATS is meant to serve as a leader in helping to distribute 5310 funding in the area and assisting subrecipients with applying and using their funds. So in comparison I didn't mention, so Jess and I are a part of strategic planning at the Charlotte Area Transit System. So typically in the past, 5310 has been run by the Civil Rights Division at CATS. It is now transitioning to strategic planning. So we have been making a few changes. So like we're leading this information session today, but I've also been working with our website staff to add a few helpful documents to our webpage. So a few of these, and I will just name them off quickly, but show you how to access them in a second. The FTA circular for 5310 is going to be a very helpful document for seeing which projects are eligible. Like if you have a very detailed question, going to the circular is going to be very helpful. As far as how CATS, we ourselves manage our program, that will be in our program management plan. We are currently working on updating it for the next call for projects, but for this one, we will use the one from 2015. It's still overall the process that we use, and it should give you a good idea of our approach. Additionally, the locally coordinated human services public transportation plan, long name, I just tend to call it the coordinated plan myself, is a document, like I said, that is developed through engagement with the public and human service providers, public transportation providers, to really identify the core needs of the community. And so when you are applying, you should be referencing the coordinated plan to draw inspiration for your projects, and projects have to be at least referenced in the coordinated plan. And then finally, the scoring matrix will probably help you as well to see what areas you might need to say, hey, I didn't really think about that area as much. See what the selection committee will be reviewing when we or when they start reviewing applications. So let me stop sharing this screen, and I will jump over to our web page. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start on Google. Okay. See, Jess, can y'all see my can you see my Google screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody on this call, I can send a link to this page, but also if you want to find it, it's pretty easy to navigate to our information page on 5310. So I just type CATS 5310 into Google, and it's going to be the second link here, section 5310, and the role of the coordinated plan. So a lot of those documents I mentioned, they are going to be on this page, specifically for the CATS call. And so you can go down this page and see information about the project timeline, which I'll run through in a moment as well, who can apply. On this page, you can navigate your way to the application page as well. So if you were to click here to visit the 5310 application, it would take you to contract opportunities under the city of Charlotte, since CATS is technically under the city of Charlotte. You'll go down to search opportunities, type in 5310. And if it would load, you're going to go down to FY 2023, call for projects and grant application. So this is going to take you to procurement's page, where you can find the actual application itself, information about submitting it to procurement. Beverly Hovis is who you will submit it to. The applications are due by December 20th at 2 p.m. But if you scroll down and see attachments, you will find the application. And this year we have made it a fillable PDF, so you should be able to pretty easily just type in and not have to print it out and write down everything. But if you have any issues with it, since last week, since the project opened, it was brought to my attention that some of the fillable spaces were having some problems. So we went back in and fixed that. So if you have any issues, just reach out to me. And my contact information is also on the 5310 page. If I could get to it. Come here. Nope. Apologies, y'all. It's always like the Zoom tab is there we go. It's in the way. But my contact information is on this page too. So if you have any problems with the application or questions, you can reach me by email. Does someone have a question? Wait, one moment. Let's see. I'm going to go in and see if I can mute. Okay. Let me reshare my screen. Okay. So that's how you'll navigate to the application. It's on the city's procurement, like bids and opportunities page as well. But if you just want to navigate here first, it's another easy way to find it. So we also have the coordinated services transportation plan here. So we have that under this link and the appendices as well, if you really want to dive deep into it. But additionally, for some of the other information, we have the previous programs and projects. So you can look at what other types of projects have been funded in our recent history with the program. So back to FY18, you can reference our program management plan that walks through our internal process. I've also updated the FTA circular. This was actually just updated on November 1st of this year. So this is the most up-to-date circular for 5310. If you click on this link, it will take you to the FTA's website specifically where, the FAQs might not be as specific to Charlotte, like specifically, but it can still be helpful for looking at eligible projects, federal requirements, and things like that. And then lastly, we have the scoring matrix here, which will detail how projects are scored and selected. So a critical component of scoring, for example, and I'll flip back to the presentation. If y'all can see the presentation still. So there is a floor of, and I'll get to this, I'm going to jump to the next slide to help explain this point. There are 3 types of eligible projects. So there are traditional, non-traditional, and mobility management. And so traditional is, projects that meet the requirements of the ADA, and they are typically capital type projects. And so 55% of our 5310 apportionment has to go to traditional or capital projects. And so with that in mind, capital projects will, we need to reach that 55% threshold first so we can make the most of our other funding, because no matter what, 55% of whatever we divvy out has to be capital. Then there are non-traditional projects, and these are more operating expenses, things that go beyond the request of the ADA. And then additionally, there's also mobility management. This is a newer eligible expense, but it's treated as like traditional or capital. So I know this slide's a few ahead, but basically so operating projects require a 50% local match, whereas traditional and mobility management projects require a 20% local match. So here are some examples of capital projects. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just some examples pulled from the circular, but if you want more examples of capital projects or any projects, I would encourage you to reference that document. But capital can include like rolling stock and related activities, purchase and installation of benches, shelters, or other passenger amenities, support facilities for and equipment for Section 5310 funded vehicles, or acquisition of transportation services under a contract, lease, or other arrangement. These are examples of capital projects, and but it's definitely not inclusive of all of them.
I don't believe your screen is changing.
Oh, okay. Let me reshare. Thank you. I didn't realize. Okay. Can y'all see the screen now
Yes,
changing?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So yes, so these are some examples of capital projects. And by the way, this whole presentation and Q&A will be posted on the website on the same page I just showed you all after the fact. So that will probably be up by early next week, but I will post the presentation as well if you want to reference it later. So some operating expenses that are examples or non-traditional projects, as 5310 often calls it, includes enhancing paratransit beyond minimum requirements of the ADA, providing accessible feeder service, supporting volunteer driver and aid programs, or purchasing vehicles to support accessible taxi, ride sharing, and or van pooling programs. Like I said, this isn't an exhaustive list. I just want to pull out some examples to get y'all familiar with what kinds of projects fall under a 20% match versus a 50% match. Then there's also mobility management. It's not exactly intuitive for somebody who's not as familiar with it, but this was added back a few years ago. But mobility management it basically focuses on the promotion, enhancement, and facilitation of access to transportation services, including the integration and coordination of services for individuals with disabilities, seniors, and low-income individuals. So this includes also support for short-term management activities to plan and implement coordinated services, to attend state and local coordination policy bodies and councils, and as well as operational planning for the acquisition of intelligent transportation technologies to help plan and operate coordinated systems. So, like I said, different kinds of projects come with different kinds of matches. So Section 5310 funds may be used to finance capital or operating expenses, but the federal share for capital costs is going to be 80%, and the federal share for operating costs may be 50%. Additionally, recipients or designated recipients may use up to 10% of their apportionment to support program administrative costs, including administration, planning, and technical assistance, which may be funded at 100% federal share. So really, that set aside is for CATS to use for administering the program. So the timeline. So the call for projects opened last Friday on November 8th, and we are all attending this information session today on November 15th. Ultimately, the application deadline will be December 20th, just shortly before Christmas. And after those applications are submitted, internally we're going to be able to look through all of the applications and start working with the selection committee, which should meet on January 23rd. And then eventually, so once the selection committee meets and scores based on the criteria I discussed earlier, those projects will be recommended by CATS Finance to the FTA. And so that final application will be sent to FTA on February 28th. Or earlier if we can, get it out earlier. And ultimately, after that, we have to wait to hear back from FTA that all the projects are good to go. They're kind of double checking behind us. We're ensuring compliance, but they're checking behind us too. And so, I don't think it would be unreasonable to expect that the announcements would be made around April 2025, but that timing strongly depends on the FTA's processing schedule. So, but we do expect to have the application to them by the end of February. And so sometime around April or May, I would expect award notifications. So with that said, I am happy to devote most of our time to Q&As. And if if you want to drop them in the chat or just raise your hand, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see who raises their hand. But if you want to chime in, I will keep track of the questions and post FAQs as they come up on our website too, just in case someone else has the same question. So with that said, who wants to go first? I see Alicia trying to speak, but if you're trying to, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. The application on the website, is that up to date? It looked like it said 2021 and 2023.
So you're referencing on the contracts and bids page?
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, so that one, I'm not sure why it's still up. That is an old call, but you should see FY 2023 as well. I would just type 5310 into the search bar and it should be the FY 23 option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any questions about resources, or if you want me to go through any parts of the application or anything like that?
Could you go through the budget section?
Sure. So let me pull up the application. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to scroll down to the budget section. Or did I miss it? A lot of this is text. So let me scroll down. I believe it's towards the end. So this is where section 6 budget starts, Alicia. And so, the first question is going to be, is there a commitment of funds beyond the requested grant period? If yes, please explain the nature of the commitment. So going into this, it's good if your projects have additional commitment beyond 5310 funding, but we are aware that a lot of projects do rely on 5310 funding. And so this is a useful question for us to know, but it won't necessarily affect how strongly your application scores. So going on to this, we are really just looking at what you estimate the cost to be. Alicia, do you have any specific questions about the budget specifically?
I wasn't sure if there was a percentage requirement for how much could go towards a capital, but I think you explained that. So that was my main question.
With capital projects, so like I said, with the apportionment we receive, no matter how much we give out or distribute, 55% of it has to go to capital projects, and the local share. So if you were to apply for a capital project, your share would be 20%.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. See.
There's a question in the chat, by the way, Emma.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, the question is, hello, I'm Robin Oden with the Norm CLT. Is there a limit to awarded projects? So, Robin, do you mean like a per project award, like an award maximum, or like a number of awarded projects? Either way, I can answer both
Hi,
questions.
Emma, thank you. Thank you. I was talking about the latter of what you just said, the total number of awarded projects. But actually, if you could answer both of those, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Sure. So the answer to both is, to my knowledge, there's no limit on how much a subrecipient can request. And there's also no limit to how many projects can be awarded. If we have like a lot of smaller awards, we do have a limited amount of funding. So a larger award may push out some projects, or like if some other projects score higher and you have a large request, it may not be able to get fully funded. But also, I would encourage all of you, when you're submitting applications, to really discuss how projects can be, what's the word? Scaled, I suppose. So like if it can be scaled down, when the selection committee is scoring, it may be that projects get partially funded. That's still an option as well. Now, if it's either all or nothing, that would be important to know too. But if it's scalable, so that's not to discourage requesting a lot of federal dollars, but just to make you aware. But as far as like the number of projects, if we had a lot of smaller ones, there's no limit on the number of people who can be awarded.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Emma, can I piggyback on something you said? Hello, this is Nicole Ertl. I'm the transit procurement manager. I just wanted to elaborate on that scalable piece.
Do you want me to elaborate on it, or?
No, I was just gonna say, just because I'm familiar with this a little bit in the past, I just wanted to make sure if they don't make it scalable, it could potentially impact award if there's not a way for, like, if you don't have the funding to award the whole thing and you don't make it scalable, it could impact your ability to be awarded it. That's all I was gonna
Yes.
add.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. And even if you don't have a question today, like I said, my contact information is on the website. So feel free to reach out to me at any point with questions, and I will be there to assist you in any way I can. But also, if you have any questions today, since we're still early on in the process, go for it. Okay, I'm seeing none. I will let me copy and paste the link to that website real quick so y'all can just go ahead and pull it up in your browsers. And you know, I know that some of you probably haven't really had a deep dive into your applications yet, but when you do and you have any questions, just ask me as they come up. I'll be happy to assist. And also, just, you know, if it's a question about what's an eligible project or about program administration, the documents on the website will be very helpful to you as a first stop to really see, because these are documents I'm referencing too, put out by the FTA. But if it's really just a niche question, I'm happy to help. And if there are also any issues with the website page or the application, just shoot me an email. So, but if there are no further questions, we'll end a little early, and I'll give you back like an hour of your day, and I'll get this posted on the website. But thank you all for attending, and I look forward to seeing your applications.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.